guys, you have a page for notes and I'm going to help you fill it in right now. I'll put up an image of the finished notes so that you have something to print out or to copy down if you'd like. But I'm going to walk through it because it's kind of complicated and I didn't want you to have to do it by yourself. So, alright, I know Miss Dingus is doing a slightly easier version of this. I'm going to do a slightly more complicated one, so if you haven't watched her video yet, you should do that. Alright, here we go. The problem on your notes page has an equation that is not in standard form. And remember, standard form for a quadratic equation is we really want it to equal 0, and this one does not. So we need to move that 27 to the other side to make sure it equals 0. So first step is to subtract 27 from both sides. Okay, so 33 x squared plus 18x minus 27 equals 0. Alright, so we've got an equation in standard form. We have an a, we have a b, we have a c. These are really big numbers, and it would make it much easier when we're trying to plug into an equation this complicated, at least for my calculator skills. It would be easier if I factored out a common factor and divided by it. That way we can put smaller numbers in. Now your calculator doesn't care, so if you don't mind, at this point you can type it in. You don't have to do this step, but sometimes it makes it easier. So I'm going to pull out a 3. Let's see if that works, because I think 3 goes into all of these. 3 times 11 is 33. Keep the x squared. 3 times 6 is 18. Keep the x. 3 times 9 is 27. I need a negative 27, so I'll keep the negative 9. So right now I have 3 times 11x squared plus 6x minus 9, and that equals 0. Now you know from zero product property, if you have two factors, in this case a 3 times a polynomial, and you know that it equals 0, then one of the factors has to equal 0. And it's not the 3. So we're looking at this part equaling 0. So here's our equation, 11x squared plus 6x minus 9 equals 0. All right, from here you should be able to tell what A, B, and C are. I'm going to erase this. So A is the coefficient of x squared, is 11. B is the coefficient of the x term, which is 6, and C is the constant term, which is negative 9. Now remember, any of those numbers could be 0, it's entirely possible, but in this case we have values for all of them. And if one of them is 0, there's probably an easier way to solve this, but for right now, we're just going to try it with these. Okay, so let's plug it in. X equals negative b. X equals negative b, so negative 6. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, 6 squared, minus 4ac. Let's get our a and c values. 11 and negative 9. All over 2a, and our a value is 11. Alright, this is going to be pretty ugly. Remember, we're finding the x-intercepts of this graph. If we had graphed this equation equals y, we would have a parabola. It'd cross in 2 places. So we're going to find those 2 places. Negative 6, plus or minus. 6 squared is 36. We have a negative times a negative, so I know that's a positive. So 36 plus, I type into my calculator, 4 times 11 times negative 9, and I get 396. All right. I divide that by 2 times 11, which is 22. And I have this. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of, oh my goodness, 400 and, yep, 432 all over 22. Now, believe it or not, this is an exact answer. It's not a useful answer, but it's an exact answer. So I have no idea where to plot this on the graph, but I could say that my two answers to this problem are x equals negative 6 plus square root of 432 all over 22, and x equals negative 6 minus the square root of 432 all over 22. Okay, so those are perfect and exact answers, and that's great. I'm going to also ask you not just for an exact answer, but for an approximate solution. So if you want to get an approximate solution, you pick up your calculator and you type this in. Now, the most common mistake is to not use parentheses. When you type it in, you have to put parentheses around this top part, or the calculator will be confused. All right? So you do this piece, and then you say divided by 22. If you do that, and you should try it right now because it's entirely possible to get this wrong, you should get something like, this is approximately equal to, let's see, this is the positive one, so 0.67, and this one is approximately equal to negative 1.22. So please check, pause the video, and make sure that that's actually what you got.